So I was on Twitter, something that I don't usually do, and some smartass decided to send me a message saying, "Hey Howie," not my name, "someone has pointed out to me that you have a tarnished record, lol, of doing all of BAND-MAID's songs," missing the apostrophe there. "You're missing one. Unfair Game, the YOLO single B-side with Matchless Gum. Just when you thought it would..." Look, I'm pretty sure if I'd missed a BAND-MAID song, I wouldn't know about it. So let's just set the record straight for you here. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, and just like Free Monkey's design says, the B-side from BAND-MAID's YOLO single, one of them is in fact a song called Unfair Game that I haven't done, and I just want to apologise as well because I know there are a few other people on the channel who had actually left comments before on like our social media, like our Discord, saying that I'd missed one of the B-sides. I probably should have followed up on this much sooner, so thank you very much for cornering me on this one though. Any other songs I've missed, let me know also. But we're going to be checking out Unfair Game today. Now, as a lot of you know, YOLO is one of those singles that I enjoyed, but I don't think it... I kind of enjoyed it in the BAND-MAID way. I don't think it stands out massively from their back catalogue as being something hugely different. But, it works in its own sense. So I'm always interested with these kind of songs because B-sides tend to be very interesting. As a lot of people will probably know, B-sides tend to be some of the best songs you hear by bands. And one of the reasons for that is because there'll usually be something which is maybe a little bit too experimental, a little bit too clever to get onto the album, or something that they think is so catchy that it doesn't need to be an album track, but actually would serve better as a B-side to, if you like, pump up the chances of getting a secondary sale by people buying the single than the album. So, B-sides tend to be very good tracks despite the way that many people maybe look at them stereotypically. So I'm really interested to see what this is, and alongside a song like YOLO, which I would say is a fairly straight shooting BAND-MAID song, I wonder if they've gone for another one which just sounds kind of like another catchy song, or if they've gone for something really quite different and experimental, kind of like the Starting Over Screaming comparison with those two songs. So like I say, really interested to check this one out. I'm going to jump straight into it because if you've been following this channel, as you know from the intro, with exception to this one, I'm pretty sure we've checked out every single BAND-MAID song. Now we're just moving on to like different versions where it's actually interesting enough to do so, like acoustic versions. We've got the Anemone acoustic version and stuff like that. So I'm going to jump straight into this one because, like I say, I've checked out all the other BAND-MAID songs. If you haven't already, go back and check those ones out if you want to as well, to get a better idea of what my opinion for this band is. And I've now seen them live as well, so this has been a really exciting journey. Who would have thought that it would rear its head and give me something new to listen to? I'm really excited that there is another track I haven't heard though. So let's jump in straight away with Unfair Game. Nice riff. Interesting, going between those two chords is leaving a lot of tension left to be built up. A lot of room for the song to develop. But the nice riff is keeping it sounding fleshed out. We're still waiting for a third chord. Like the way that everything's spaced out, leaving a lot of room for impact. I hope the chorus pays off on this for a B-side. Interesting, it does sound kind of very BAND-MAID in one way, but very different in another way. We'll cover this a bit more afterwards. But good chorus. Definitely for a B-side, very good chorus. Written by the band as well. course it's got a solo. Oh, we're going for a bit of chaos now. That wasn't... Nice little a cappella break there. That was a nice way the solo ended by sounding like it was kind of falling apart. It actually, in a way, built up more of the tension. Nice little switch up of the beat there. They're really milking the end of this as well. It does feel like it wasn't just written to be a B-side. It really feels like this was written with a lot of effort and love going into it. Alright, 5 seconds left, but I'm guessing it's just gonna... Yeah, that's finished. Alright, yeah, we've got a lot to unpack on this one, actually. First things first, I mean, one of the interesting things before I get into talking about this individual song too much is just to recap on the whole B-sides thing, because I think that's important for this. Often it's hard to express that, really depending on the record company, the deal, and how everything works. Who decides which songs go on the album, in which order, and what are the B-sides is very much a mixed bag, depending on the, like I say, the particular arrangement that the group's got. A lot of the more creative bands like this, especially BAND-MAID in this sort of phase in the career, by the time they're writing their own songs, they would have a lot more say in that kind of thing. But I do think this is a really good choice as a B-side, and I don't see that, I say that as an insult, I say that as a compliment. In that it's got a good catchy chorus, but it's not quite catchy enough to be a single in its own right. But if you put it in amongst the album, it probably wouldn't sound quite as fleshed out and quite as explosive as a lot of the other songs in the album, because what this in fact does, and what I quite like about this, is that this is actually quite sparing in a lot of places. I mean, listen to that first riff. The riff is brilliant. I love the way it comes in. It's kind of got a chaotic, a bit of a taste of metal, but it's restrained. You know, the sort of backing stabs in with a bit of heaviness and then leaves you alone, comes in, then comes back. You know, there's little stabs and there's restraint in there. So the riff is very active, but the backing's kind of being cautious not to overly, you know, sort of, you know, pay off everything too early. And then when it does come in fully fledged, it's just going between one chord, another chord, and one back, you know, back, forward, between two chords, deliberately meaning therefore that you don't, when you're going backwards and forwards between two chords, there's not much room for the song to develop too much of an emotional feeling at that point. Instead, it feels a little bit tense, like you're batting backwards and forwards and not quite getting the emotional payoff yet. But with all of the volume and the impact and everything coming in at this point, you kind of, that's kind of how they've done this arrangement to build up that feeling of, you know, waiting for the chorus to come in. Admittedly, the build-up is so great that, yeah, I got to admit the chorus maybe doesn't quite pay it off. You kind of maybe wanted something a little bit more explosively wow for a chorus. But like I say, seeing that this is a B-side, it's still a pretty damn good chorus. That's still a song that you could listen to, enjoy and sing along to, you know, when that hook comes around. When you get that catchy refrain, it's catchy enough to be sing-alongable, I'd say. So... yeah, it's not quite the sort of heady heights that you'd expect from like a classic track or from a lead single track, but it really works as a good B-side. It's one of those ones where I know we don't really have B-sides in Western music anymore, but here in Japan, it's still, you know, CDs are still selling. I think they've become more of a collector's niche now. Most people do listen on Spotify and things like that. But, and other streaming services, to be fair. Don't worry, we're not paid by anyone, not even YouTube. But, you know, when still people buy the CDs who are big fans of the band, who actually want to support the band, and to have that physical product, that thing that is, you know, you can hold it in your hands and say, this is a copy of the song. And when you listen to something like that, the whole idea is you want to be able to listen to it round, you want to listen to it properly. So you need something that comes after that first single that you've effectively purchased that it makes it worth listening to the whole CD. And this is an example of that. It pays off well. It carries its own weight. It doesn't feel like some failed experiment that's been tacked on to the end of a single just to make it sellable as a product. It doesn't feel anything like that. It feels like this song was genuinely written with a lot of love and with an intention of going onto the album. Like, maybe they were thinking at one point this could be a single, and then they just had other songs that came out better. Who knows? But this does feel like something that genuinely was worked on well. Like I say, just perhaps because it spends a lot of time building up that tension, it perhaps doesn't have quite as many wow moments, but I think overall it works, and it's very clear to hear what they were going for with this song. Solo was also kind of fun. There wasn't a huge amount going on in the backing to really make it individual. This is one of the interesting things that we noticed with Conqueror, which was so great, which is that every time there was something like a guitar solo, the backing really changed to suit it, which was something that maybe you could say BAND-MAID had both been very good at doing before, and could also in some cases be criticised of maybe not using their full ability to do before. Like sometimes they'd have like really interesting breakdowns with guitar solos, and sometimes they'd have guitar solos that just seemed to be kind of shoehorned in to provide a bridge. This one perhaps sounded a little bit like the backing. The backing wasn't written to change anything, just like, okay, we're going to do a guitar solo now, and so everyone just carried on playing. But I think what was done with Konami's guitar was really interesting. And like I said, I like the way the guitar started off kind of like a melodic solo, and then it kind of broke down. It went a little bit crazy, a bit dissonant, but really nicely written. She chose some really nice sort of scales to play around with there to counter the backing. And that, extracted more from it. And, it just sort of went in a good direction, and you got the little vocal break in the final chorus. I mean, overall, the song had lots of little interesting things in there still, which still gives it that BAND-MAID quality of being a song that sounds like it's got effort and detail. It's catchy enough to be worth listening to. It's enough of a complete product to actually make it a song that can be enjoyed and not feel, like I say, like a half-assed experiment that never amounted to anything. It feels like a song that can be enjoyed in its own right. And yet I can understand why this maybe wasn't seen as, not like the runt of the litter, but maybe not seen as being quite in the heady heights of some of the other songs that they were producing at the time, and certainly not on level with songs like YOLO, which is obviously placed as a single here. So I've maybe rambled a lot on this one. I did say there was a lot to unpack, didn't I? But yeah, I really enjoyed this for what it is. I guess what I would say at the end, I say this sometimes with quite a few songs, but I think it's most fair to say about a B-side is this is one of those songs that I don't know that I would necessarily come running back to. They've got plenty of other songs. Sorry, spitting on myself now. They've got plenty of other songs that do the same thing better, but certainly it's not a song that I would switch off. If this came on, I'd be really happy to hear it. And as a B-side, I guess, does it gives you a little bit more in their portfolio of songs just to break up and give you some more options if you're listening to a lot of BAND-MAID. It's better than them just having like, one 10-song album or something. You've got lots of songs that you can go and enjoy, and they're all of high quality, so it serves as a nice variation to the rest of the material. Anyway, this is my waffle about this song. As always, get in there, tell me what you think in the comments. Have you heard this song before? Is it a really difficult one to get? I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a physical copy that was given to me. Thank you very much. You know who you are. So I really appreciate that. But actually, I've got to give this CD back eventually. I've had this for a long time. I am lending them. It hasn't been given to me permanently, I promise. But yeah, interested to know what you guys think. Get in there, tell me what you think about this song in the comments. As always, we like the discussion, whether you like it or not. So long as you give your reasoning, it's really interesting. Liking and subscribing would be much appreciated if you enjoy what we do here. And if you really enjoy it, then, there's also Patreon, so you can help. Like I say, we're not paid for anything, but we get to have these lovely posters, nice lighting, everything, good sound and everything. That all comes from the wonderful support you guys give. And if you want to give us more suggestions, maybe songs I've missed, then remember we've got the Reddit suggestion thread in the link in the description below, as well as the Discord where we just waffle the whole community about music all day long. So until I see you soon in the next video, for now, from Japan, thank you so much for tuning in, and ciao ciao. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out more of our hundreds of videos we got online on this channel right now, or get involved in the discussion with us at the many social media links we've got in the description below, where you can suggest new videos and artists for us to check out on the channel. Or you can just do the usual YouTube stuff and comment, like, subscribe. You know how this works by now.